TCL C8K versus Samsung QN85F. Two of the best mini LED TVs for gaming with high amount of brightness, outstanding performance in dark scenes, and good color accuracy, including quantum dot color technology. But of course, one of them is better, and the answer is the TCL C8K. I know the ideal is to compare both TVs in the same sizes, but unfortunately I only have these two versions. And here you need to know that the most important aspect of a TV with mini LED backlighting technology is the performance in dark scenes, which means having a good or almost perfect balance between black colors, level of detail, and blooming effect. The TCL has an impressive amount of 1680 dimming zones for this 65-inch size. And for example, for the 98-inch version, it has 3840 dimming zones. As I said in its review, this mini LED TV is the one I have reviewed so far with the nearest results compared to an OLED model. On the other hand, the Samsung has only 120 dimming zones for this 55-inch version, and perhaps around 300 and 400 dimming zones for the 65-inch version. Apparently, there is a version of the QN85F marketed in some countries with more dimming zones and more brightness, but I cannot corroborate that. Maybe it's just a rumor. Now, if we compare the same sizes, you will probably notice the same differences. This means a better balance for the TCL with deeper black colors, excellent level of detail, and almost zero blooming effect. I am not saying the results of the Samsung are terrible, because in fact are pretty nice, and actually I have loved the local dimming feature of Samsung mini LED TVs so far. And as I said, this QN85F does a great job even in this 55-inch version. But side by side against this TCL, the difference in favor of the C8K is remarkable. Nevertheless, if you want a 2025 mini LED TV by Samsung, and if in your country the QN90F is not available, or if you're wondering if the QN70F is a real mini LED, well, forget about the QN70F, save some money and get this QN85F in this 55-inch or larger sizes according to your needs and budget. However, if you want to get a better mini LED TV, then get this TCL C8K. Although it's true that the smallest size of this model is this 65-inch version. If you need a smaller mini LED TV, the Samsung is a good alternative. In terms of brightness, you need to know that the TCL can reach up to 4500 nits in some picture modes with some small Windows percentages, while the Samsung for this 55-inch version can reach around 1000 nits, and for the 65-inch size maybe around 1500 nits. Maybe with the colored scenes, the difference in terms of brightness is not so noticeable, because when you measure the amounts of brightness, you need to use a wide screen. And for some reason, with the picture modes, movie and filmmaker, the Samsung show less brightness compared to its other picture modes. Let's say that the amount of brightness the Samsung has might be more than enough for the vast majority of users, but if you need a much brighter TV with much better reflections handling, go for the TCL, which in fact includes a better technology for its screen known as Crisp Glow, and the bezels of the TCL are thinner without the sometimes annoying black borders the Samsung has. Both TVs have these parameters in case you want to improve even more the results with high dynamic range content by enhancing the brightness, or in the case of the TCL, you can decide if you want to prioritize the level of detail or if you want a balanced result. They both have this option in order to make SDR content looks like if it had some HDR features by improving contrast, color enhancement, and sometimes the level of detail. Both models have these parameters for more color saturation, dynamic color for the TCL and Color Booster Pro for the Samsung. And if you want to increase even more the color saturation, let's say the Samsung wins. But in terms of color accuracy, in this case I think the TCL shows better results. And of course I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just showing you what both TVs are capable of in this area. Perhaps it's important for you to know that the TCL is compatible with IMAX Enhanced, Dolby Vision and Dolby Vision IQ, while the Samsung does not. If the content has a native Dolby Vision, the TCL will enable these three picture modes: Dolby Vision Dark, Dolby Vision Bright and Dolby Vision IQ, while on the Samsung the HDR technology activated will be HDR10. Gray uniformity on both TVs is great, being slightly better on the TCL with less dirty screen effect. Although on both models the results are great when watching content with high color volume. Image upscaling is great on both TVs too. I have to say that the results are pretty similar. If the content has a low resolution, they both use their processors with artificial intelligence in order to show you a smoother result compared to other models. But remember, no current 4K TV will show you a 4K result if the content resolution is low. Don't be fooled if sellers promise you the opposite. The viewing angles are slightly better on the TCL thanks to the Crisp Glow WHVA panel, although the results are not as impressive as promised in the website. While on the Samsung the results are worse because it has a conventional VA panel, hence the colors will look more whitish when you watch its screen from a very wide angle. Motion handling on both TVs is great. You can reduce a lot, judder or blur manually or automatically. They both have the LED clear motion feature, but in the Samsung I do not recommend this because it generates too much flicker. So in the TCL it's recommended to set this option in high and in the Samsung in auto. But the TCL has an extra feature known as dynamic acceleration. Results on the Samsung are good, but on the TCL are better with less artifacts. About the gaming, you need to know that both TVs are compatible with 120Hz and 144Hz in 4K along with variable refresh rate technologies. The advantage here for the Samsung is that this is possible in all its 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, while on the TCL this is only possible in 2 of its HDMI 2.1 ports. However, the TCL is compatible with 288Hz in 1080p while the Samsung doesn't. They both have game bars. The TCL's game bar has these three options for design, while the Samsung's game bar doesn't have this feature. They have these aiming aids on the screen, and here the TCL has the advantage that these aiming points have more options for size, color, form and position in a wider range. But the Samsung's game bar has the advantage of having more picture modes, including the auto mode, which is supposed to choose the best picture mode according to the type of video game you're going to play by using artificial intelligence, while the TCL's game bar only offers 3 picture modes, although might be enough for many users. General gaming performance in terms of motion is great on both models. They both have a very good input lag and response times. I personally didn't notice ghosting effect. You won't perceive screen tearings thanks to the variable refresh rate technologies. I simply have to say that the main difference here in favor of the TCL is that you will get, of course, more brightness and better immersive experience in video games with dark scenes. About the smart area, these are the remotes. The remote of the Samsung is much more ergonomic and can be charged via solar panel or USB Type-C. And the remote of the TCL has the advantage that its keys are backlit. The operating system of both TVs is different. Android with Google TV for the TCL and One UI Tizen for the Samsung, which is not based on Android, hence you cannot install APK files. Both models have these menus for shortcuts and you can modify the location of these icons, which is very useful. However, here the TCL has other advantage, and is that you can add or remove shortcuts, while that's not possible with the Samsung. By the way, they both have the option for voice commands with the hands-free voice control feature. The TCL has an extra menu for other shortcuts, including one for the multi-visual feature. The Samsung has multi-view option. As you can see, the TCL has more options for this feature. And in terms of audio, the TCL has a more powerful performance with good clarity, although the performance of the Samsung is not bad and is actually enough for some people. So, as you guys have seen, the TCL is the best option for the vast majority of users, and the Samsung is especially for someone who loves the brand and search for a good mini LED TV. And that's it. Please guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about these models, which one will you buy and why. And I remind you guys, you can support my channel by doing some purchases to the links I put in the description and also in the first comment. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching and until next time.